Alrighty, so today we're going to be tying the stretchy May, and I'm going to do this one kind of a PMD style, if you will. It's a bigger PMD, probably earlier in the season. I have a little tiny tungsten bead on here, which happens to be a 2.4 mil tungsten bead, and this is a 1550 Daiichi hook that we're rocking. I believe it's like a size 12. First material out of the gate is going to be our tail. We're going to be utilizing some bronze mallard. Any mallard will really work out for you well here. Really all I'm looking for is segmentation. What we're going to do is we're going to strip off some of that mallard from the front there, and we are going to try to break it down to 3 fibers. That's going to give us our mayfly type clinger look, and I like to leave them a little bit long. These mayflies do have longer tails, and as you can see, we get a good stand up there once I put my back wrap in. We'll go ahead and wrap forward. Just want to make sure this material is as secure as possible. Also, it's going to set us up for our next segment there. So for our next segment, we're going to be using some Super Floss. This one happens to be like a light brown color. Life Flex, Spanaflex, Flexiflex, Rubber Flex. Doesn't really matter. What you're going to look for is just a light brown color. It comes from a number of reputable distributors of fly materials. So we are going to tag that tag end in, and I'm going to put just a ton of pressure on this material. What that's going to do, as you can see, is it keeps the body nice and thin. What we're left with is this section right here. So in the beginning, I'm going to apply lots of pressure, palmering this forward, and palmering is just simply wrapping one in front of the other. As I get closer to the front, I'm going to stop pulling and just provide very minimal tension, and what that's going to do is create a really cool segmented body. Now I go ahead and just wrap it all the way up front here. You don't have to do that, but I think personally it will help to secure these materials better. And then if you notice, I doubled it back over itself, apply some extreme tension, and there we go. So now we have this awesome segmented body to work with. We've got some realistic tails, we've got a great segmented body, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring in some of our fly finish and thin. And the reason I'm doing this is just solely to bond and bind all of these materials together. It does have a good binding with this, and it creates this lifelike, deeply iridescent body, which I truly love. We'll hit it with our UV light here. About 10 to 15 seconds will do you, just like always. And I just slowly rotate because I covered that material circumferentially. And this is a great little pattern, and the reason that I'm choosing this hook is because it's got a nice wide gap to it. Next up, we're going to bring in some turkey tail here, and what I do is I trim off a nice healthy portion of our turkey tail. You can see this one's been well used and tied with over the winter here. And what I do is I take my 1/2 inch, little under a 1/2 inch maybe, and I'm going to go ahead and fold it up in half. And what that's going to do is just really give us an awesome, thick, heavy-duty wing case to work with. I go ahead and I'll secure that in, and I decide how big I want the thorax to be. So I'm going with 2/3 abdomen, or 2/3 thorax, 1/3 abdomen. Up next is a dubbing blend that I made. It's pretty much just a bunch of black brown with some green ice dub in there. So what that turns into is just an awesome buggy mix. It's a trilobal, black ice dub, copper ice dub, and green ice dub. Very small proportions, I just mix that up together. And I go ahead and I'll just dub the whole body there. Next up is just going to be our leg segment. And this is Senyo's Shaggy Dub. These are micro super floss, if you will, or Spanaflex, whatever you want, Life Flex, whatever brand you went with. And I changed this up. I like these little pheasant tail colored guys. And as you can see, they're just really ultra wiggly. So all I do here is they're going to have a natural bend or curvature. So I go against that grain and I come in and I put one in at the 9 o'clock position. And we'll try to get between these guys here, so we don't want to pin him in there. He's being a little bit reluctant today. There we go. And I put one at the 3. So we insert our legs at 3 and 9, and I'm just talking about looking at the front of the fly like it was a clock. Last up, we're going to bring in a little bit more of our dubbing blend. And the reason I do this is because it's going to give these legs great separation. And I'm really going to wrench down on this dubbing to make sure that we have an awesome thorax. And as you can see, our legs are starting to spread out. Now if it gets super buggy with the dubbing, don't worry about it. I think it just adds to it. You know, instead of the turkey tail as well, you could lock in a thin skin or any other number of product that's, you know, your favorite back material. I just happen to really enjoy the natural turkey flank. And once we have that really thoroughly secured in, I'll go ahead and I whip finish. You can see very minimally here. Throw in a few small whips. I use my hand for that. We're going to straighten out these legs, trim up any offenders, and I'm going to come in with our UV in thick. And the reason I do that is just because I want to make a nice bomber wing case. It is a little cold in here today, so it's going to take me a second just to get that going. So once we have that in place, we can use our bodkin here, and we'll just simply, you know, maneuver that thick just to be how we want it. And once we feel comfortable with that, we're just going to go ahead again and we're going to hit it with the UV light. Again, 10 to 15 seconds, nothing too long. It's going to create a really great durable bubble. It may look like a gas bubble forming on an emerging mayfly, whatever the theory is this year on that. I just happen to like the way it looks. Kudos to Mike Mercer for figuring that one out. So right now, all we have left is our legs. And the way I operate on those is I pull them all upwards and trim them out. So now we're going to have 4 killer little legs, great flash, kind of these reddish brown hues with a killer mottled tail. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.